Good morning. So, the introduction that was given, there was a quote by the mother that Sri Aurobindo is a decisive action straight from the Supreme. So, this talk will elaborate on why the mother has said that, that Sri Aurobindo is a decisive action straight from the Supreme. So, we go back to the theory of evolution that Darwin talks about, where he says that first there was the mineral kingdom, which became plant, which became animal, which became human, and it stops there. But scientists are not able to tell us what was the reason the first rock sprouted the first unicellular plant life. They cannot explain to us how plant evolved to animals. They just say it's a course of evolution. But Sri Aurobindo says that there are two principles in existence, spirit and matter. And spirit involves itself in matter and needs matter to make more and more conscious forms of matter. And that is evolution. And Sri Aurobindo says that as imperfect a being as man cannot be the crowning glory of nature's spiritual urge. So he says man is destined to evolve to the next species, which he called the supramental species. Now the plant kingdom lives by instincts, the animal kingdom a little more conscious in the sense it has emotions, and man, with man came the possibility of thinking in words. So man is a manomai purusha, a thinking being. Animals can't think in words, so that's the next rung of evolution. Now Sri Aurobindo says while thought is beautiful, it's a double-edged sword. While man has progressed so much with thought, he has also destroyed so much with thought. And thought beyond a point doesn't lead us to the truth, right? That's why we are so confused all the time. We think of one thing and we are sure it's so, and 2 hours later we'll be sure the other thing is so. So Sri Aurobindo says humanity has to evolve to the supramental, a species above the mind, a species which will be directly in touch with truth consciousness and will act without the intermediary of thought. So we are poised for this change, and in fact Sri Aurobindo calls this particular period the hour of God, because he's saying that he said that there is Kali Yuga, there's going to be massive unconsciousness and conflict, but God has given a boon in this age that anyone who wants to grow spiritually, grace will give wings to that effort. He says that this is the time earth has never experienced, a time for such massive spiritual growth, because a lot of humanity is turned away from light, but that small fraction of humanity which turns towards light, the whole atmosphere of earth is such that it will evolve by leaps and bounds. And I can't give you the exact context, but I remember reading years ago, Mother had said that the reason for overpopulation right now is that many souls had been promised an unprecedented growth, and she says y'all don't remember, but you've come to earth to access that promise. So it's a very special time we live in, and at nodal points of evolution, nodal points are very special points. A special descent of God consciousness comes down to earth to take evolution forward. So if you look at the Dasavatar, it's the evolution of fish, reptile, animal, and so on. And just one thing, whatever I speak today is what I believe with all my heart. I'm not imposing any belief on you. I'm not saying it is so because I say that, but I'm saying it because I believe it with all my heart. So at this particular point in evolution, which is poised for this huge growth, Sri Aurobindo and Mother have come down in my heart, I'm qualifying that, as a two-bodied single avatar. Avatar comes from the word avtaran, a direct descent. So when a direct descent of God consciousness comes down to earth, we call it an avatar. So Mother and Sri Aurobindo are regarded as a two-bodied single avatar because the work they had to do for evolution is unprecedented, because they have to change the very matter of the human body. The supramental species will have a very different kind of material makeup also. So when Mother was asked, what is your relationship with Sri Aurobindo? They were definitely not disciple, guru. Just because some of my kids asked, they were definitely not husband and wife. But Mother is regarded as Sri Aurobindo's Shakti. So Mother said, without him, I exist not, because Shakti can't exist without Shiva. And without me, he is unmanifest, because if there's no Shakti, nobody will know Shiva exists. So let's pause here. So they've come down to earth, and that's why Mother says that Sri Aurobindo is a decisive action straight from the Supreme. The Supreme has decided that the course of earthly life has to change, and to manifest that decision, he has come down as Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So now a little bit about Sri Aurobindo's life and a little bit about Mother's life, so that we get a context for their work. So Sri Aurobindo was born in Calcutta to a father called K.D. Ghosh, he was born in late 1800s when India was under the British rule. Can we have the AC a little less? I'm very cold. I don't know about the rest of you. Are you cold? Yeah. So Dr. Ghosh at that time thought that everything British was fabulous and everything Indian was terrible. So he sent Sri Aurobindo with his brothers to England to study, with strict instructions with the tutors that let no Indian influence touch my children. So Sri Aurobindo grew up in England. He was not consciously spiritual then. In fact, he was a great intellectual. He was a total genius. He had mastery over Greek, Latin, French, you name it, about 7-8 languages. And that makes sense, because if he was the avatar which had to take humanity from mental to supramental, he would represent the highest that the mental in man can rise to, because he has to exceed it. So he was absolutely a genius. And when he came of age, he was asked by his family to sit for an Indian civil service exam, an ICS exam. And he did so brilliantly that his examiner said, we've never corrected papers like that. But in his heart, he didn't want to work for the British. So it's mandatory to give a writing test. And Sri Aurobindo just didn't go for that writing test. And the people appealed, you can't let a man of this caliber go, give him another chance. So they gave him another writing test, but he refused to go for it. So when he was 21, he came back to India by ship. He landed at Apollo Bandar. And that's when he had an experience of a huge descent of peace coming into him, and which never left him then. And Sri Aurobindo recognized this peace as the soul of Mother India communicating and welcoming him. And after that experience, he says, India stopped being a geographical piece of land for me. She became a living mother. And for me, the British were like a demon sitting on my mother's chest and sucking out her blood. And Sri Aurobindo had one gift. Have any of you read Sri Aurobindo?
Yeah.
You have?
I'm a follower of it.
Huh? You're a follower?
I'm a follower.
Oh, okay. So, for me, there's no writing that is as uplifting and poetic and beautiful as Sri Aurobindo's writing. It's really something else to read him. So he was obviously very gifted with writing. So he started a paper called Vande Mataram. He started editing it, and his message was reaching the youth of India, because the British had hypnotized the Indian youth to believe that the British was superior in every way, and they thought, we can't fight these blonde-haired, fair-skinned gods, we are very inferior. Somehow they have conditioned that inferiority which is in our genes. Even this generation, somehow they just feel Westerners are more special. So Sri Aurobindo made them see that they had the strength, and the British called him the most dangerous man to walk the Indian soil, because he could see the power he was having on the youth. And they were on a mission to put him away. So they charged him on 4 false bombing charges, and they put him away in solitary confinement in Alipore jail. And you know what solitary confinement is. There's a beautiful book in his own words, Tales of Prison Life, beautiful, where he describes how they kept him. And at one point he felt he was losing his mind, because that is what solitary confinement is supposed to do. And when he was on the brink of that, he saw his cell was just like 9 feet by 6 feet, and it would be open to the harsh West Bengal sun during the day. Rain would come in. He would just be given a bucket for all his ablutions, and it was terrible conditions. And then he saw Sri Krishna standing right in front of him, and he said, Sri Krishna came day after day and revealed the Gita to me in jail. And Swami Vivekanand, who had left his body by then, he was also one of those who came and gave Sri Aurobindo teachings. And then there was a lawyer, C.R. Das, who was just inspired to come and tell Sri Aurobindo, I'll fight your case. And by then Sri Aurobindo had realized cosmic consciousness. He said, I saw the jailers and I saw Krishna. I saw my prosecutors and all I saw was Krishna. I wore the blanket and it was Krishna's arms wrapping around me. So everything was Krishna for him thereafter. And then when the C.R. Das came and Sri Aurobindo started writing things to tell him, a voice told Sri Aurobindo that say nothing, I am guiding this man. So Sri Aurobindo just sat back, that kind of surrender. And C.R. Das fought the case so brilliantly that a British judiciary declared Sri Aurobindo innocent and he was set free. So in his beautiful book Savitri, I mean, for me it's the most precious legacy he's left humanity. He's written a book called Savitri, which he took decades to write with his genius, because in this book he's tried to create the vibration of an Om with every line. So even if you don't intellectually understand it, it just heals you to read it. So forgive me, I'm quoting Savitri from memory. One word here and there may be a miss. But when he's written in Savitri, wherever the God touch is there, nothing is impossible. I think he's writing from his own life, that it was an impossibility that he'd be set free, but he was. And then he'd stop thinking by then. He'd just get a voice from within and he'd act according to them. He was guided to Chandarnagar. And then he was guided to Pondicherry, because it was a Union territory, and the British, because as soon as he got out, the British were trying to get him back in. So that's Sri Aurobindo. Now we take a pause, we go to the mother. So the mother was born in France. Mira Alfasa was her name at birth. And she was born to Catholic parents. And she said that I decided at a very young age that the God preached to me by the church, who was a tyrant, who would be keeping a tab of all that's good and bad, punishing me. I didn't want a God like that. So she said I decided to be an atheist, but she was the mother after all. So she had very special experiences right from the time she was little. So later on, of course, when she knew that she was the Divine Mother, the Adi Shakti, Aditi, she writes that when I was formless, for 900 years, I was working to create a body that could come down on earth. Because if we are talking about Adi Shakti, we are talking about a force which holds universes together. And you need a really special body which can hold that. So if you look at her lineage, she has Egyptian blood, and she has a kind of very solid material body which could hold the force. And since she was little, she'd have different teachers coming and giving her teachings. And she would see herself floating out of her body at night, wearing a huge golden robe spreading over the whole world. And she'd see people reaching out to it, and the robe would bend down, touch the people, and they'd go back to their bodies. And she said, even at that age, nothing gave her more joy than these nightly activities. So she was very and one Asian figure used to keep coming and giving her teachings, and she saw herself touching his feet. And in France they don't touch feet, so she wondered what this was, and she was guided to call him Krishna. I don't need it, I'm fine. She was guided to call him Krishna, though she didn't know too much intellectually about a God called Krishna, but there is this link between Sri Aurobindo and Krishna, so she was guided to call him Krishna. And years later, when she came to Pondicherry, she recognized Sri Aurobindo as the Krishna of her dreams, who'd been coming and giving her teachings. So there are very... one sec. So this is Mother's symbol. Have you all seen Mother's symbol?
Yes.
But I'll just show you so I can explain it better. So this is Mother's symbol. The central circle is Aditi, the Divine Mother. The 4 petals in white around it are the 4 aspects of the Mother, Mahakali, her aspect of strength. She accelerates things. Mahalakshmi, her aspect of charm and sweetness and beauty. Maheshwari, her aspect of wisdom. And Mahasaraswati, her aspect of perfection. So Mahasaraswati is the one who works out perfection in creation. And these petals around are the qualities of the Mother: courage, goodness, generosity. So Matri Mandir, some of you have been there, is actually this. You've seen Matri Mandir when you go down to the lotus ponds, there are those ramps. Each of them, if you go inside, is a petal. So if you want the quality of peace, you visit the petal called peace and you stay there. If you want courage, you go there, and so on. So when Mother was very young, there's an instance, she says, where there was a bully in her class who was troubling a lot of the girls. And she says, one day, I don't know what happened to me, I felt such a strong descent of force into me that I was half his size. I picked him up, twirled him in the air and threw him down. And he never troubled anyone after that. And she says, later on I realized that was my Mahakali aspect coming down. So she didn't know who she was fully till later, but these aspects of the Mother were constantly descending and working through her. And much later, of course, when she came to Pondicherry, and she recognized that her work was with Sri Aurobindo. I'm just giving you the tip of iceberg of their lives. There's much more. She came and settled with him, and once the Shakti came to the ashram started growing. Otherwise, Sri Aurobindo had very high realizations, but he was never bothered about being anyone's guru. So he was just existing. But once she came, she gave him the status of a guru. And when Sri Aurobindo saw her the first time, he's supposed to have seen 12 pearls in her aura on top. That's supposed to be what Aditi, the Divine Mother. So he recognized her as the Divine Mother, and she recognized him as the Krishna of her dreams. And then they set up the Sri Aurobindo ashram. And towards 1950, what's the time? We have time. How much time do I have? 20 minutes. Okay. Half an hour. Oh, good. Okay. It's very interesting, but I have to be at JB. That's my problem. But Mother will arrange it, so I tell you everything you need. So now they set up this ashram. Now, close to 1950, Sri Aurobindo says there's a lot of resistance in humanity. And one more thing, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother said that for this change to happen, for the supramental change to happen, two things are required. One is man's conscious collaboration with nature. So they said that the change from mineral to plant to animal naturally happened as an evolutionary thrust. But this change from man to superman is going to be such a huge leap that it can't happen without man's conscious collaboration, man's wanting to grow, man's wanting to be changed. And second thing is, we'll require the descent of a very special force into the earth atmosphere called the supramental force. And once Mother came to Pandi, Sri Aurobindo retired to his room, and day and night he was working to, we can't even imagine the amplitude of his work, but he was working in the subconscious. He was working on things to make earth ready for the force, because if it comes and earth is not ready, it would shatter. So one point close to 1950, he told the Mother that there's too much resistance in humanity. One of us will have to leave our bodies. So Mother said, okay, I'll go. So Mother Sri Aurobindo said, that can never be. And then he dropped the topic. And then in 1950, December 5th, he actually left his body. Of course, the earth cause was something to do with the kidney, but it wasn't that. And when he left his body, I've met ashramites who say that for 4 days, they saw that his body, it's very difficult for me to talk about them, so just don't mind. I'll have my moments and I'll continue. So they, for 4 days, they saw that his body was surrounded by golden light. And I met a person who said that I thought they had done it for journalists. They do special effects. And I asked somebody and said, we've done nothing. So for 4 days, this light was around his body. And Mother says, don't put him into the samadhi. And it's not legal to keep a dead body. So when the forensics sent people, they said there was no stink, no rigor mortis in the hot climate of Pandi. Then after 4 days, when the light subsided, he was put into the samadhi. I think those of you who went, did you see the samadhi? And Mother gave a very beautiful message on the samadhi. Did you read it? To thee who's been the material envelope of our Master, to thee our infinite gratitude, to thee who has suffered, struggled, hoped, achieved all for us, to thee we bow down and implore that we may never forget, even for a moment, all we owe to thee. So on one side it's written in English, on the other side in French. And then Mother continued her work, and in 1956, when she was meditating with the ashramites at the playground, she saw in her meditation that she was huge and golden and holding a hammer in her hand, and a voice said, "The time has come," and she struck at the door, and reams of supramental light finally came down. And since 1956, and it was 29th February 1956, so 29th February, the ashram celebrates as the Supramental Day. It comes once in 4 years. But so I take groups of adults once a year and teenagers 2 times a year to Pandi. And you think that teenagers who are so scattered, but within 4-5 hours of being in Pandi, they say, "Miss, we are feeling different." I say, "Why?" So they said, "I don't know. Things that bother us aren't bothering us. Our minds are naturally feeling calm." And Pandi was a city worse than Bombay before Mother and Sri Aurobindo came. But because it's the epicenter where the supramental force descended, and from there, of course, it's spreading in the whole world and doing its work. But that's why there's something in the very air of Pandi which shifts you. I remember one year, I had a colleague who was going through a depression because she was a spinster and her mother had passed away. So she was all alone. So when I was taking the children, I teach at JB, I told her, "Come along," and she came. And people were having their own experiences and she was not feeling anything. So she said, "This place is not for me. I'm feeling nothing." So I said, "Look, I can only bring you here. Beyond that, it's between you and Mother," and left it. We came back to Bombay. She called me after a week and she told me that, since I've come back to Bombay, I haven't had a day's depression. So we are too unconscious to even feel how the atmosphere there works on us. But firstly, I'm very sure that you can't go to Pandi till Pandi calls you, because Sri Aurobindo has said, those who call to the infinite are first called by the infinite. And if you do get called there, you'll never leave empty-handed. It's not possible. Of all the people I've taken, I've never known one person to come back from there empty-handed. So that's about Pandi. Then, of course, in 1973, when Mother left her body, she was brought down and she was put in the Samadhi above Sri Aurobindo's body. So that Samadhi is both their place. So this in brief is about their lives, which will give a context for coming back to why is he a decisive action straight from the Supreme, and this decision of the divine to change earthly life, as Sri Aurobindo says in Savitri, to life divine. How can we consciously collaborate to make it happen? So once Mother gave a message to humanity, very poignant and touching. She said, "Humanity is preparing for a big change. Will you help? Because unless we help the divine, it can't happen. This change needs humanity's conscious collaboration." So what are their teachings really? They haven't given any fixed formula or method except for the triple formula, which is aspiration, rejection and surrender. So this is Sri Aurobindo's symbol. You might have seen it. So the downward descending triangle represents the descent of the supramental force into matter. And the supramental force descends in matter and creates an aspiration in it to evolve. So the upward pointing triangle represents the aspiration of matter to evolve. The square at the center, square is the symbol of the earth element. Like a triangle is the symbol of fire, circle is the symbol of water, square is the symbol of the earth element. And the waters represents samsara, and the lotus blooming represents the divine perfection. So when the divine calls and earth responds, there is the blossoming of perfection here on earth in the waters of samsara. So that's his symbol. Very beautiful symbol. So aspiration. See, I was speaking to Aisha and she said that I went to Auroville and I feel it calling me. I need to go there again. Now, many of us feel like that. We can't understand why. But wherever we are receptive to the force, it awakens in us an aspiration, an urge to reach out. We don't even know what we are reaching out to. It's like calling to a faceless face. But we feel that urge and we want to reach out. So he says aspiration is very important in his yoga. The growth, the urge for growth, the urge for progress, to be more, to change ourselves. So aspiration. Secondly, rejection. He says earth nature is riddled by ego, smallness, pettiness. We all know that all too well. So to reject those influences, and Mother gives a very beautiful definition of sincerity. She says that sincerity is to accept no influence but that of the divine. So it took me a long time to understand this, but I find it wow. So she's saying, if you are afraid, if you are doubtful, if you're being angry or being insincere. Now I know even I took a long time to understand, what do I do if I'm scared? How am I being insincere? But I'm not being sincere to the faith in my heart. I'm not being sincere to my gurus. And Mother writes so beautiful. She's so pragmatic, so practical. She says if you're depressed, you're highly egoistic, because you're so egoistic that you're only thinking about yourself. If you just thought about things other than yourself, you wouldn't be depressed. So rejection. And third is surrender. Surrender. So in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo writes a beautiful lines. This light, the light of the Supreme, comes not by struggle or by thought. Sometimes in Pandi at least we have to just go there and open ourselves to the divine influence. And the divine influence does everything. So I remember there was a teenager who I took there. I should write a book of experiences of these teenagers who we write off as gone cases, but you see them in Pandi, I'm amazed. So there was one teenager who would meditate for 1 hour, and you know, teenagers, they can't sit 2 minutes like that without their phone. And I once asked her, what exactly do you do when you meditate? So she's saying, Miss, nothing. So I said, what do you mean? Say, I just sit at the samadhi and things happen. And I said, bingo, this is what she's got it. That's why Sri Aurobindo didn't, he's given some very useful methods, and I'll take you through one of them. So please tell me when it's 12. I must stop and we do something. Will you tell me when it's 12? So that's the whole thing. In Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's yoga, you just have to come with a love and longing and openness. And then they do everything. In fact, Mother says that our yoga is so difficult that the elite of spiritual humanity can't do it on their own. It's only Mother's force acting through you that can really do this yoga. So this light comes not by struggle or by thought. In the mind's silence, the transcendent acts, and the hushed heart hears the unuttered word. The unuttered word is the word of the God truth inside you. And you don't hear it by struggling and doing. You just have to be quiet. A vast surrender was his only strength. No other strength, but I'm surrendering to you. I'm here. Do what you want. This light comes not by struggle or by thought. In the mind's silence, the transcendent acts, and the hushed heart hears the unuttered word. So, to just surrender, to be in surrender to the divine, to choose, as my yoga teacher says, cleverness over wisdom. The highest the human mind can go to is to be very clever. But wisdom is more than cleverness. It comes when you're just open to guidance from the highest, and that highest guides you. So how do we walk this path? This is the triple formula he has given. And Sri Aurobindo says that in my yoga, there are as many paths as there are sadhaks. Each sadhak will cleave his own way, and that way is not wrong. It's his unique relationship with the divine. So, but when he was pressed, he said, when he was pressed, give us something to do. So he said, you can, when you meditate, you can keep Mother's or my image in your heart. And for those of you who are not followers of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, whoever you believe in, they never believed in crushing faith. It is so beautiful. Mother was so open-minded. Have you seen blessing packets? If you go to Pondicherry, Ashmi, do you have a blessing packet on you?
I have.
So just you can see it. It's little envelopes in which rose petals from the Samadhi are taken, put in Mother's room for 24 hours, and then they are distributed. And gosh, I can do a whole talk on how blessing packets have helped people. And
Actually, I was going to bring blessing packets to give to everybody.
oh, give it next meeting, no? Whenever you come next.
Okay.
So, why did I come? So, Mother had said that whenever you're upset, you just hold the blessing packet and pray to any God you believe in. She never said pray to me, and my help will be there. And when she was there in the ashram, there was a time in the ashram, very special time, when she had the soup ceremony, where she would distribute soup to the sadhaks, putting her force into it. And once while distributing soup, she just went into a trance with the ladle midway for a long time. And then when she came back, and they asked her, Mother, where were you? So she's saying, no, there was a call from Poland, so I had to answer it. And that time the ashram was very small, so they asked her, Mother, but do they even know about you in Poland? So she said, no, but if they call to the divine, I must answer. So she was so beautiful and wide. So yeah, but if you are followers of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, yeah, these are the blessing packets. This is not a blessing packet, but I am with you. So beautiful. This is in Mother's writing, and this is her signature, which is a bird of peace coming down on earth. We can pass it around. You can pass this around. And this, of course, is a blessing packet with the Mother's picture, and there are petals inside it. Can I pass this around?
Yes, and it is true, because whenever you are in difficulty, you take out the petals and you just put it on your forehead. And I have found my difficulties solved.
Oh yeah.
I sleep with it under my pillow also.
So beautiful. If you're ever sick, oh, these are blessing. You can pass these around.
Mommy's given me when will it's going to be 2-3 minutes left to 12.
Left to 12. Thanks for
And then
telling.
when will we have a question answer?
I'll come to it. Okay, so I actually do a talk on their teachings every Saturday at the Sri Aurobindo Center at Sarkar. I think Anjali's been there. You're welcome to come. The center is beautiful. It's at Churchgate, Sydenham College Lane.
Yes.
It's beautiful, not only for my talk. If you go any time there and sit, Oh, it's transforming. It's beautiful. And Mother gave a special message for that center when it was open. Something to the effect that in this new house, whoever comes with a real aspiration, the divine will answer. So it's a very beautiful place. Do come. We'll be very happy to see you there. My talks are every Saturday 5 o'clock. And in fact, if you want to be added to a WhatsApp group where the talks are recorded and uploaded, you can give Ashumi your number. Even if you can't attend, you can access those talks. I'm saying this because I have so much to say in limited time, so maybe those talks will answer a lot of your questions. Thank you, Anjali. 2 to 12, yeah. Okay, so the method of meditation, Mother and Sri Aurobindo says, is to just hold our image in our heart, but you can hold anyone's. Like in my yoga classes, I just tell them to hold the image of any divinity they believe in, because my guru always said, never kill anyone's faith, let it grow. Because whatever is their image of faith will work as well as my image of faith. So you focus on that image in the faith of grace in your heart, and you just concentrate on it, and it brings you light. Now I'll take you through a small meditation based on this method, but should we finish question answers before that, if anyone has?
I have.
Yeah.
So, I believe in Mother and Sri Aurobindo. I don't know why. Because of my mother. But I'm a total Krishna Bhakt.
She's your mother?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm a total Krishna Bhakt, and I'm a student of the Gita and the Upanishad. I study, not just reading it. So I wanted to ask you, where in our Shastra is it written that Mother and Sri Aurobindo have come as avatars?
Not in our Shastras. This is, I qualified, it's what I believe. It's what we believe.
They are,
so the Shastras talk about Kalki, the 10th avatar. For me, they are Kalki. Okay. Also, many people have been bhakts of Krishna, and when they come to Sri Aurobindo, they are in great conflict that, my loyalty is with Krishna, and I'm feeling so pulled to you, and I'm feeling miserable about it. And then on birthdays, they could go up to visit him, and more than one person, when they'd go to his room, they wouldn't see Sri Aurobindo, they would just see Krishna sitting there. But when they would ask him, he'd say, but what is the difference between Sri Krishna and myself? And there's one very interesting event in the history of the ashram, which happened in 1926, when Krishna consciousness actually descended into Sri Aurobindo's body. We celebrate it as Siddhi Day, and they say that this has never happened in the history of earth before. Emanations and vibhutis of Krishna, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so many others, but a direct fusing of Krishna consciousness into a human body, it has never happened before. So, and remember, even Mother was guided before she knew Sri Aurobindo to call him Krishna. So many Krishna devotees are led to Sri Aurobindo, or in my case, I didn't believe in Krishna at all, but I came to Sri Aurobindo and he led me to Krishna. So I think both of them are so very connected.
I was confused where it was.
So
and
Kalki.
You talk about non-duality in your talk. I mean, that's what I hear. In the Gita, it very clearly shows there's non-duality.
What do you mean by non-duality?
Do you want to explain?
No, if you're talking about the Vedantic non-duality of monism.
It's not only just Vedantic, it is the
No, so there is. So what is your question?
My question is, when
when you say that you, there are lots of things that you said are very, very close to the Gita or what the Gita says. But when you say that you, something comes in you, and of course consciousness has to come, you have to understand the knowledge. You come to the knowledge, and then you become one. That is Tattvamasi. But I didn't understand how you spoke about when man is not the ultimate.
Man is ultimate in essence. He is.
Because Krishna says very clearly in the Gita, this is a very special birth you're given as a human being.
Oh, you're saying why is we to evolve to the next species? Your question is with. Okay, because if we just look at how we are, yes, in essence we are divine. And Sri Aurobindo's main thrust in his integral yoga, he says one practice is the constant smaran that everything is God. But in manifestation, there are aspects which haven't evolved to their divine truth. So God has one poise where he is all perfect, but in the cosmos he is an evolving God, right? As the transcendent, he is all perfect. But in evolution, God evolves through us, right? We are God in evolution. We are, Sri Aurobindo says, unconscious God, and yoga is about becoming God consciously. Yeah, does that answer?
Yeah, you said it in a different. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Let's do the meditation.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do this meditation with a mantra that Sri Aurobindo gave us for the mother. But the mother is, don't confuse her with her form. Because she says, in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo writes, 1,000 icons they have made of her and find her in the idols they adore, but she remains herself an infinite. So her form is beautiful, it's a gift to humanity, but she's more than her form. So we are talking about the Adi Shakti, the creatrix force, the divine mother, and Sri Aurobindo says that a portion of the divine mother is within each of us. And Mother and Sri Aurobindo call this portion of the Divine Mother within us the psychic being inside us. And one of the primary steps in his yoga is to bring the psychic being forward. Because right now it's very veiled. It is a supreme king within us, but its instruments are blunt. Sri Aurobindo says the mind, the vital, which is our emotions, and the body are instruments of the psychic being. And if they are not receptive to the light of the psychic, you won't even know that it's there. But it is there. And in Savitri writes it so beautifully, unmarked, unfelt, it sees in him and acts. We don't mark the psychic being, we don't see it, but it is seeing within us and it's acting and doing whatever it does from behind its veil. So this psychic being is a portion of the Divine Mother within us. And Sri Aurobindo gives us 4 words to describe the Mother. Take it to be to describe the deepest in yourself. Okay? Because the Mother says, I'm always with you because I am you. I am always with you because I am you. So the 4 words are Anandmayi. Mayi is full of. Ananda is joy. So this psychic being, it's full of joy. Sri Aurobindo says that the psychic being is like a sunflower always facing the sun. The misery is in our outer being, but deep inside you're always full of joy. Chaitanya Mayi, Chaitanya is consciousness, so fully conscious and full of consciousness. Satya Mayi, full of truth. Parame, supreme. Param, unbreakable. So deep down I am that which, as said in the Gita, no fire can burn, no water can wet, no wind can dry, no sword can cleave. I am Parame, unbreakable. So that is the Mother's presence inside us. Okay, so let's shut our eyes. You can put your right hand at the center of your chest and left palm over it. No, center of your chest and left palm over it. And with your eyes shut, just take your awareness an inch or so behind where your palms touch to whatever image of grace that you connect with, or maybe no image of grace, just the sun or just a point of light. So you connect with that space in your heart and just hear this mantra. We'll chant it together afterwards. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Everyone with me? Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Satyamayi Parame. Satyamayi Parame. So now keep all your attention centered in the heart. Heart, nothing to do with your physical heart, but the center of your chest, the seat of the psychic being, the heart of the consciousness that you are. So you gather all the scattered threads of your awareness and plunge them into the center of your chest. And you go deeper and deeper inside, if you like, with the image of grace. And inhale silently, looking at that image of grace. Exhale soundlessly, saying Anandmayi. Second breath, inhale. Exhale, saying Chaitanyamayi. Third breath, Satyamayi. Last breath, Parame. So spread the mantra over 4 breaths. Inhale in silence, looking at that image in your heart. But Sri Aurobindo says, let it be a living image. A living image is one which evokes gratitude, love, faith, maybe tingling in the body. It could be the image of Matri Mandir, Samadhi, or any place of worship, even a place in nature. Anything that makes you come alive. So you look at that image in silence on the inhalation. Exhale the first word of the mantra, Anandmayi. Second breath, Satyamayi. Anandmayi, Chaitanyamayi, second breath. Third breath, Satyamayi. Last breath, Parame. And now I'll be quiet for just about 2 minutes. Practice this on your own. I'll join you in the practice. Complete this last mantra, last word, last cycle of the mantra, and then we go to the next phase. As you inhale, enter the heart space where you've been concentrating as if you're entering a lift. And as you inhale, the lift climbs to the top of your head and above, where there's a cloud of peace. So I know the skeptic in many of us may doubt it. Don't believe, don't disbelieve, just do it as an experiment. Inhale, enter your heart, climb to the top of your head and above, reaching out to that cloud of peace overhead. Exhale, flowing down from the top of your head down into your toes and fingertips, saying peace. Mother says, call the peace in as if it was living, as if you were calling a dear, long lost friend home. So inhale, enter and climb up. You visualize, if you like, a column of or a cloud of blue-white peace, but you visualize in order to actualize. Exhale, flow down your body, saying peace, 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 peace. Some of us have a greater opening in the heart, some of us greater overhead. So Mother and Sri Aurobindo recommend concentrating on either of these two spaces where we can open to the Mother's force. And as you do this, some lines from Savitri, don't bother about understanding them. See how they impact your meditation. Thy peace, O Lord, a boon within to keep, amid the roar and ruin of wild time. Thy peace, O Lord, a boon within to keep, amid the roar and ruin of wild time. For the magnificent soul of man, thy calm which bears thy hands of joy, thy peace, O Lord, a boon within to keep, amid the roar and ruin of wild time. For the magnificent soul of man, thy calm that bears thy hands of joy. Peace, 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 And one last passage from Savitri. One who has made this world is ever its Lord. Our errors are His steps upon the way. He works through the fierce vicissitudes of our lives. He works through the hard breath of battle and toil. He works through our sins and sorrows and our tears. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever our strong ills and present fate, when nothing we can see but drift and bale, a mighty guidance leads us still through all. A mighty guidance leads us still through all. Hands together in a namaste. Let's end with 3 Oms. Open your eyes whenever you feel like.
Beautiful session. Beautiful.
Thank you. No. Just say thank you to them.
You on Saturday